Okay, let's have a brief conversation about the death doula situation. Um, and I know different people think of different things when they think of a death doula. So a lot of people think of a death doula simply as the person who sits beside someone as they die. That's not me, right? Because there's multiple levels to dying, and there's multiple things that have to happen before a person dies. And as a death doula, I normally work with people who already know they are dying or they think their time is coming to an end soon. And there are things that they need to do financially. There's things they need to do from a legal standpoint. There's things they need to do from a spiritual standpoint, as far as attempting to heal some relationships. Because I walk between worlds, the living and the dead, or the deceased. Sometimes they want to get things right with people, and we work through that. Sometimes they're not able to get some things right with people, and we work through that as well. And it just depends on how much time they have. And sometimes I work with people that I warn them that their time is near and that they need to get things in order. And when I say their time is near, they may have a few years left instead of a few months. Um, so in that essence, that looks like unpacking some trauma, unpacking the grief that they go through, because when you get a diagnosis of a terminal situation, um, you get to a point where it's overwhelming. And I also work with people to help them die on their own terms, meaning that they are okay with that time, and they feel like they have prepared themselves, not completely, like some people never are ready, but some people are. Most of the people that I work with, they are they may have been fighting the battle for a long time, because I have people, they have chronic ailments, and then they get to a point where they've done everything and now they just don't want to fight anymore. So they're kind of ready for it to happen, but they're also want some other things to be put in place. They want to have conversations with people and they need a buffer. They need someone there, as they express themselves. And it can be really difficult expressing yourselves to people who don't want to accept the fact that you're actively dying. So I do a variety of things in that way. I have made some video recordings for people because they wanted that, um, in order for them to leave a final message for their family members. So there's a lot of different things. Mostly what I do with them is definitely spiritual and helping them understand what they are getting ready to embark on. And there are some people that I have helped with finding ways to extend their life, meaning they did some alternative therapies. It's not death is coming for us all. It's not like it's, you know, like you might be given 3 months to live and you actually get 6 months kind of thing. So there's some people who've gone through things like that. Um, but and then I had some people who were trying to leave and just they really wanted to go, and but they didn't go when they really wanted to, and we had to work through that. So um death is my calling, and everything else that I do is tied to that. Okay. Before I even knew that being a death doula was a real thing, I was a death doula. I had no idea. And I would meet people because I see transitions, right? I see life and death, I see birth, and I help people prepare for babies to come in. And really I like to think of myself as a transition doula. And then I see death. I see when people are transitioning. I see when someone has a family member that's transitioning, or I see that kind of stuff. And before I even knew, that there was such a thing as a deaf doula, I was already doing this kind of work at my jobs. I would have coworkers, I would have different people that situations would come up and then I would be in it. I've been places and I've met people and they were like, "Hey, can you come to my house because this situation is going on?" In my legal business, I got a contract with a nursing home, home health, and that connected me with people. And then even when I was doing like some different loan signings, I was connected with some people. So it's just like I would just meet these people and not advertise, not one time, but I would go places and I meet these people, and that's how it would happen. Or someone would say, you might need to talk to her, kind of thing. So it's not even something that I've ever once advertised. But I talk about it when people are talking with me and we're talking about the afterlife and we're talking about death and transitions. And I, tell them that. And then the conversation comes up with, well, what is that? What does that mean? Is so there's really someone who helps people through the dying process. Yes, I'm not the only one. There's upon thousands of people who do such a thing. I just so happen to have been doing it inadvertently for a long time before I even knew what it was. So before I even went and became certified, I was doing it. Um, so when you have questions about it, it looks different for different people. There are some death doulas who work at a hospice or they work with hospice and they just go there and try to be on call because one of the things they tell you when you're doing certification is like you can be on call for when the person actively dies, the family can call you and they're like, hey, this person is, we think this is the moment, which can be incredibly difficult to constantly go for different people. If you're working with several clients, they could die at the same time, So it it does, some people work in groups, right? So there's like a person's a deaf doula, they might have someone else that they partner with and say, if I can't make it, can you make it? And then you kind of meet the family together just so that they know. I tend to have the personality that when families meet me, they only want me. Um, just because I have all these other spiritual gifts, right? So that's what happens with me. So uh, I think it's worth just going online and researching deaf doula if you're interested in getting into this field. I don't know that there's some place that like just hires a bunch of deaf doulas. But like I said, sometimes you can go to your local hospice. I know one person because she worked at the hospice facility, she became a deaf doula. She's a nurse, and she became a deaf doula after working there and having to sit with the people who were dying. So there's different ways that you can do it. My route, nothing in my life has really been traditional. It has always been because my spiritual gifts have been so powerful that I've been put in places, I've been put in situations and scenarios. And so even the Reiki master, even that certification, I got that years after I was already doing Reiki. Um, so all those different things, I got these different certifications to match the parts of myself that already existed. I encourage you, if you are interested in becoming a deaf doula, just go online, look for programs that offer certifications. Look to see if there's some that let you shadow a person because you can see how they have to get their paperwork together, what all you have to do, insurance that you have to have, because you're not there to treat a person like and things of that nature. Just see if someone's willing to let you shadow them with what they have to do. And of course, the family has to be open to you also having someone shadow so you can see the process. And sometimes you might help a person plan a funeral because that comes up as well. So there's levels to it. So we do need more deaf doulas, but working with deaf is a calling. It is not just for anybody just to be like, oh, I'm going to be a death doula. It's just like working with births is a calling, bringing a life in and helping usher a life to the next level. They're all very, very sacred things. Okay. So you have to make sure you're up for that. All right. Have a good one. I hope this helped you understand more about the death doula.